Hello everybody and welcome back to another new vlog. Thank you for joining me once again. Today I'm in the beautiful Welsh coastal town of Criccieth, and there's a smashing castle here on the top of a hill just behind me. So as I turn around, I don't know if you can see it just there. And I've just been up on this vantage point here to try and capture a photo of that castle. Managed to get one that I'm quite happy with, but there's no real easy way of telling you this. I've got a big problem, folks. I've noticed, I don't know if you guys remember, I bought a new tripod back in February, and when I bought it I said I was going to get myself an out bracket to go on the camera so that I could use the camera in both vertical and horizontal orientation, which would make workflow very much easier. Well, obviously that's not been the case. I'm discovering that when the L bracket is on the camera, there's a nut at the top of the tripod, on the tripod head itself, where the quick release plate is supposed to sit on top of that. And of course, if it was just a quick release plate, it wouldn't be a problem, it would sit perfectly alright over that nut. When you put the L bracket onto the camera and try and sit the camera on top of the tripod with the L bracket in horizontal orientation, that nut on the tripod gets in the way of the L bracket, or should I say, the L bracket gets in the way of the nut. Now I can overcome that problem by simply unscrewing the L bracket with an Allen key and extending the L bracket out to the side. And what that does is it leaves a gap just underneath the L bracket itself, where that nut at the top of the tripod will just sit perfectly inside there. But if I don't extend the L bracket, then of course the L bracket doesn't sit properly on the tripod, and the lens itself, the camera and the lens combined, won't sit properly onto the tripod, which is awfully difficult when setting up a shot, because I'm constantly faffing around trying to sort out the L bracket with the camera on the tripod perfectly without it falling off. That's just my problem. Anyway, take a look at this shot of the castle from over on that vantage point. So I hope you guys can hear me alright over this wind noise that I've got coming in off the sea. I'm stood here down on the beach trying to get a shot of this wonderful wooden breakwater that's just in front of me, and that's kind of dipping down into the sea, but also I've got the waves crashing in onto the shore. So while I'm doing that, I'm trying to take a long exposure and capture those waves and really soften that mood of those waves. So by doing that, I'm using a 30-second exposure, which is quite difficult here at the moment because I'm standing on a pebble beach, so the tripod itself isn't really all that sturdy. I'm doing my best with it, so I think I can work this one out. I'm just going to press the shutter now and leave it running, and I'll show you the image in just a moment. So I've come along to this concrete breakwater here, a little further along the beach. Don't know how well you can see it behind me. There's a couple of guys down the bottom there fishing. Excuse the wind noise. The breeze here is a bit more bracing than it was further over in that direction. But I wanted to come over here anyway because there's a beautiful shot of the castle behind me, just on the hill there. And I think somewhere along this breakwater I'll be able to get a decent shot of it. I don't want to go too far, obviously, because the wind is quite strong and I don't want to end up in the drink knot today. But yeah, I'm going to see if I can walk a few feet onto the breakwater, try and get a decent shot of this with the 14 to 35mm lens, probably at about 20 to 35mm, somewhere in that range really. 14 is probably going to be a bit too far out, to be honest, but I think it's quite an imposing shot with this castle on the top of this big hill. So I'm going to shoot this. I'm going to have to shoot it handheld because there's no way I'm putting a tripod up here in this breeze. So I hope you like this shot as well. Well, this is quite a there behind me. That thing there is that breakwater that I was stood on, and of course I was at the safer end of that. So yeah, I've just come down there from there to this little part of the beach here, and I think there's a nice shot out to a headland in the distance there in front of me. I think that goes round towards Porthmadog. I've come through that way on the train this morning to get here, and I'm pretty sure that headland over there is Porthmadog somewhere. So I'm going to stop here and take a photo of this now out to the sea and across this way here, and hopefully nice image. So that last shot out to that headland was shot at 60mm or somewhere about that on the 24 to 105mm lens, and I think it was about f22. I don't know how well that's turned out. I can't really tell properly on the back of the camera, but with all the sea fret and mist on the surface of the water, it doesn't look great. But I did shoot 2 or 3 different exposures as well, so it might be a case of blending the exposures here at the end. But I'll see about that one and let you see the image in just a moment. But for now, I'm going to see if I can find some lunch. I've come a little bit further along the beach now from where I was stood previously over at those wooden breakwaters earlier. And I'm actually a little bit further back along from the one that I was stood next to taking my first long exposure. There's also another wooden breakwater in between me and where I was stood before, but now I've got a much better view of the castle on the hill, and all those waves coming in to the bay and crashing on the sand, and also around those wooden breakwaters, which is really, really interesting. So I'm going to take another long exposure here. This is at 20 seconds, f22, ISO 800, and it's on the 24 to 105mm lens, and we're at about 40 odd millimeters, and this shot looks really, really nice. There's quite a lot of cloud in the sky, and there's like different shades of colour and detail in the clouds as well, so that's making it a really interesting image. So I'm going to hit the shutter button now. Like I said, 20 seconds and this will be done. Just one last piece of advice for you guys before I finish off this vlog. It's always good if you're doing your own seascape photography or landscape photography at the beach. If you're going down towards the shoreline, make sure you know your escape route. I did just then, so I wasn't in any danger, but the tide itself hasn't really come in that far since I've been here. Doesn't seem to be going out either, to be honest. It's just at that moment where it's not coming in or going out at any point really. That will change quite rapidly, and once that tide starts to come in, I can see the waterline where it has come up to in the past, because you've got a very thick line of seaweed all along the pebbles here, and that's quite high up. It's a lot higher up than where I was just standing. So if I didn't know my escape route, I'd have been in the drink obviously and washed away to sea. But I was in no danger at this point, because like I said, the tide's not really coming in at the moment, so it wasn't a problem. But that's just a piece of advice for you. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to leave this vlog here. I've got about 45 minutes now to get back for my train. Plenty of time to do it, but along the way I might be able to stop off and get a pint somewhere as well. So if you've enjoyed the vlog, please remember to give it a thumbs up, and also please remember to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And I look forward to seeing you again on another vlog very soon. Bye for now.